welcome to Saucy Cat. My name's Zoe and I love noodles of all shapes and sizes. But there's something special when the noodle you're chowing down on was made by your own two hands. So without further ado, let's make some homemade udon. Let's get into it. Udon is much easier to make than ramen noodles as you only need 3 simple ingredients: flour, water, and salt. In total, you need about 3/4 cups of water, but let's take a couple spoons of water out and heat it up. Dissolve the salt in that hot water. Now grab a large bowl and add in the flour. Pour in the hot and cold water and begin the sticky mixing session. After a couple stirs, the flour and water should start to bond and form the beginnings of a dough. Once the dough has become less sticky, start to knead it with your hands. Kneading dough can take practice. Try to rotate and fold the dough into itself so there are no hidden flour chunks. Add more flour if it's still a little too sticky. It may take a couple minutes, but eventually all the loose flour will be picked up and kneaded in. Once a soft, smooth dough forms, shape it into a ball and wrap with plastic wrap. Rest the dough ball on the counter for about ½ hour, then return the dough to a lightly floured surface. Grab your trusty rolling pin, it's time to roll this dough out. Get it about 1/4 inch thick, then fold the dough over itself in thirds. Now roll the dough flat again. Dust the counter with more flour if it's a little too sticky. Fold the dough in thirds again and roll out. Repeat this process about 3 or 4 times. This helps bond and strengthen the dough so our noodles don't fall apart. Roll the dough flat one more time, again to that 1/4 inch thickness. Give it a generous dusting of flour and gently fold the dough in half. Dust the top and bottom once more with flour. Time for cutting the dough. Using a knife or dough cutter, carefully cut the dough into strips 1/8 to 1/4 inch thick. These are our noodles. They tend to expand a little when we boil them, which is why it's important to not cut the noodles too thick. Now for cooking the noodles. If you're saving them for later, the best way I've found to store them is raw in the fridge for up to 3 days or in the freezer. Let's get a pot of water boiling. Fresh noodles will take between 5 to 8 minutes to cook, depending how thick you cut them. The same goes for noodles stored in the fridge. Frozen noodles will take a little longer, about 12 to 15 minutes. Use chopsticks or a fork to gently loosen and stir the noodles. The last thing you want is a clump of noodles stuck together and raw in the middle. Once cooked, strain out the water and rinse the noodles in cold water. This removes any extra starch and stops the cooking process so our noodles don't get all soggy and mushy. And that just about does it. Fresh udon noodles straight from your kitchen counter to you. Well, that does it for today. Stay tuned to next week where I show you a super easy udon soup using these homemade noodles. Like and subscribe so you don't miss that. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time on Saucy Cat. Gonna start flattening the bread. Gotta roll the bread is flat. It's not bread. Not bread, it's noodles. Not bread.